JiDion was arrested in a McDonald's parking lot in Woodhaven, Michigan on June 22, 2026. He was streaming to thousands of people and was mid-subathon on kick. He'd shown up with a crowd to confront a man he claims was squatting in his friend's grandmother's house. When the police told him to leave, he handed his camera to a random guy on the street so that the stream wouldn't end, and then he was placed in handcuffs, telling an officer that he's a multi-millionaire and that the officer would end up in a deposition.
Do you guys really think this is gonna stick? I am a multi-millionaire. I promise you, I can take this as far as you want. You will be in a deposition and you will be arrested. This is really the route you want to go, officer?
Yep.
Okay. You want to waste taxpayer dollars? Yep. Officer, can I ask you a question?
No,
Can I please?
Sit.
Have you guys consulted with the DA?
We don't have a DA.
You don't have a district attorney?
No.
You have a state attorney? You
There's no district attorneys down here.
What about state attorney?
Go.
Yeah, step out and slide in.
Bro. Hey, bro.
Set your butt in first.
Officer, why you guys...
Slide your butt back. There you go.
3 weeks later, he was due to appear before a judge in court on 2 misdemeanor charges, breach of peace and stalking. JiDion has been banned more times than almost anyone else on the internet, but over the last 3 years, he has rebranded into one of the most effective predator catching operations of all time. He runs stings that have put lots of dangerous predators in handcuffs. The platforms that banned him profited off him the whole time though, and the police departments that arrest him have also taken tips and gotten real convictions with his help. The opinions surrounding him are extremely mixed as a result of his controversial past, but there's so much more to the story than just his prank videos or his eventual rebranding. JiDion Armani Adams was born on December 12, 2000 in Clear Lake City, Texas, a suburb near the side of Houston. He went to Clear Lake High School. In a video he posted in February 2019 called "I Got Suspended for Hustling at My School," he was selling stuff to classmates and the school shut it down. And instead of respecting their wishes and moving on, he turned the punishment into the content.
This was with me right here, you know, got busted and everything. It's all good. Got anything you want to say to the camera? No? Oh, it's all good though. We got busted. We're gonna have to turn these in real quick. So that's the end of this video. So shit, you guys want to hit me up next time? You can. It's your boy JiDion, I'm out.
At 17, he'd figured out exactly what type of content he was best at, which is defying authority on camera and essentially rage baiting everyone involved. The channel launched officially on July 2nd, 2018 while he was still in high school. He started with challenge videos and vlogs, which is pretty standard stuff for a teenager starting on YouTube. For a while, he was delivering Uber Eats to pay for it. JiDion's pranks were public, physical, and built around one specific talent, which is that he has absolutely zero fear of social repercussions. And he was really funny while he was doing it. He'd walk into spaces he wasn't supposed to be in, stay calm while everyone around him lost it, and then let whatever happened on camera make him money. Business Insider profiled him in late 2022 when he'd crossed 6 million subscribers and traced the arc from an Uber Eats driver to one of the biggest prank channels on the platform. The growth was insanely fast because the format was perfect for clips. Every video produced 5 or 6 moments that stood out on their own, and every ban, which there were a bunch of, produced a news cycle that he didn't have to pay for. The content wasn't necessarily JiDion being a bad guy in his videos, but way more so the reactions he got from institutions. Whether it be the security guard sprinting after him or an announcer at a tennis match trying to keep composure, he figured out at a really young age that institutions can't help themselves. They will always overreact on camera, and all he had to do was show up and poke the bear. 2022 was when JiDion became a household name, unfortunately because of the single worst decision of his entire career. In January 2022, he went after Pokimane. During one of her streams, he directed his viewers to flood her Twitch chat, thousands of accounts posting the same insult at once in what Twitch classified as a hate raid. Twitch suspended him, then it escalated to a permanent ban. This is on the platform where people get unbanned for way worse. JiDion's account was just completely gone. Make no mistake, early 2022, JiDion earned that ban, no question. Directing an audience of millions at one person goes beyond the bounds of a prank, and he was old enough to know better. He spent months campaigning to get the account back, and Twitch said no over and over through multiple appeals. It took until May 6th, 2024, more than 2 years later, for the ban to finally lift. The wildest part of the whole thing is where it ended up, because he and Pokimane have since publicly reconciled and made content together in person. Luckily for him, he was successfully able to come back from the ban, but that was only the first. While the Twitch ban was in place, JiDion was collecting bans everywhere else like trophies. In September 2022, he got kicked out of the US Open for getting an actual haircut in the stands during a match, clippers and everything, which is honestly one of the funniest things anyone has ever done at a sporting event. July 2023, the NBA banned him from league events after he pretended to fall asleep courtside at a WNBA game.
Two shots.
My bad.
He crashed a life sciences lecture at Harvard. He got banned from Wimbledon after repeatedly sounding an air horn during a quarterfinal. There was a formal list of global institutions that have individually decided JiDion is absolutely not allowed inside. If you're enjoying this video so far, and you'd like to see more like it in the future, like, subscribe, and hit the bell notifications. It would help a shit ton. We're getting super close to 500 subscribers, by the way, so I wanted to say thank you. You guys are amazing. Now, back to the bans. The one that matters most for this story happened in February 2023 at the University of Houston. JiDion and a collaborator named Dami walked into a lecture in Farish Hall, Dami carrying balloons and flowers, announcing he was looking for a Valentine. When the professor threatened to call security, the group refused to leave, and according to the probable cause affidavit, JiDion pointed at a deaf student who'd been signing with an interpreter and told the professor to call security on him instead, claiming the kid was throwing up gang signs. The interpreter was actually signing the word danger to warn the student that something was wrong. Frankly, that one crossed the line from disrupting an institution to humiliating a bystander who had absolutely nothing to do with any of it. Harris County agreed because in April 2023, they issued a warrant for a misdemeanor criminal trespassing, and JiDion's response was to troll the police on social media rather than turn himself in. He'd had 2 prior trespassing charges in Harris County, November 2021 and March 2023, and they both got dismissed. So from his side of the screen, every institution kept teaching him the same lesson his high school taught him. The money will continue to roll in, and punishments don't really seem to stick to him. On October 27th, 2023, he posted a video titled "Goodbye JiDion, Say Hello To," and he told his audience that he was done with the version of himself they'd subscribed for.
I just can't be JiDion anymore. And I know the impact that the videos have had on you guys is astronomical. I mean, I know the videos give you guys confidence to be your guys' self in public. I know it helped you guys through the darkest times in your life, and you know, you guys can count on my videos to cheer you up whenever, you know, the world was just beating down on you. But I'm gonna just be honest with you guys, man. My videos are just a band-aid, you know? My videos can't help solve your guys' deeper problems, and I'm so grateful that my videos were able to help put a band-aid over some of your guys' wounds, man. But I want you guys to take the initiative and heal the wound itself, to entirely heal it, because us as content creators, we just can't do that, man, and we'll never be able to do that.
JiDion is a Christian, and by his own account, his faith had come into direct conflict with the content he made. The pranks, chaos, and constant cruelty of the format just didn't line up with his beliefs anymore. The internet's default reaction was to wait for the comeback. When a creator finds God, they pivot and quietly drift back to what pays. It's happened many, many times. Except JiDion didn't drift back. What he did instead was weirder and more interesting than quitting. He kept the exact same skill set, the fearlessness, the confrontation instinct, and the total comfort with a camera in a hostile room, and he pointed it at a different target. The energy that used to go into his pranks shifted into hunting predators. This is my speculation, so take it with a grain of salt. I think the faith move was definitely real, and I also think it solved a problem for him that had nothing to do with religion. JiDion's whole career was built on confrontation, and confrontation without a cause eventually makes you look like an asshole. The pivot gave the confrontation a moral excuse. Whether that excuse covers everything he's done with it since is the actual question, and we're gonna see what happened from here. EDP Watch is JiDion's sting operation series, and the format will be familiar to anyone who's seen Chris Hansen, so just about everybody. Decoys pose as minors online. A suspect arranges a meeting, and instead of a kid, JiDion and his camera crew are waiting for them. The confrontation gets filmed, the footage gets handed to police, and sometimes the suspect actually gets prosecuted. That's the part that makes him stand out from almost all other predator catchers, and I have to give him real credit for that. Here are the receipts. December 2023, the JiDion Premium channel used a decoy to communicate with a man named Brian Brown in Marshalltown, Iowa, who believed he was talking to an 11-year-old girl. The video did close to 3 million views. Marshalltown police arrested Brown, and in June 2025, he pleaded guilty to a felony grooming charge. His video was used as real evidence, and it resulted in a conviction, so he was already off to a good start. March 2025, the group lured a man named Charles Mellick into a Walmart in Albany, Oregon, and Albany police arrested him on an outstanding felony warrant for a parole violation. July 2025, a sting in Citrus County, Florida, led to the arrest of a convicted offender. May 2026, the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office announced the arrest of a local man on charges of possessing CSAM. June 2026, a judge revoked a bond for a man named Mason Hull, better known as Hullo, after investigators said that he violated his release conditions.
I'm on your side. Can I have a conversation with you about this, man? Okay, appreciate you.
Was it boys or girls or both?
Both.
What was the youngest age getting
Like I said, maybe if the youngest would be probably.
Did it seem like the kid was in pain in the video?
I mean, it seemed like they were probably just numb or drunked up. It seemed like they weren't really saying anything.
How bad do you think this could have got if like this didn't get out?
Probably could have got more.
Had this little reverse card.
There's an Indianapolis volleyball coach from a viral video who was charged after allegedly sending explicit images to a minor. There's a really solid list of multiple states, multiple departments, and multiple actual arrests. Law enforcement's reaction to all of this is split completely down the middle, and I think both sides can be argued. Some departments have welcomed the information the group brings them because the arrests do speak for themselves. Others have publicly warned that unsanctioned stings are dangerous, that they can blow up real investigations, contaminate evidence, and put everyone at the meetup, including the crowds these videos attract, at physical risk. Police in more than one state have put out warnings about exactly this kind of content. Both of those things are true at once. EDP Watch has taken predators off the street, but JiDion is a private citizen running law enforcement operations with no training, no oversight, and an audience of millions as the only incentive. The concerning part is the audience, because that can cause escalation, which obviously for a sting operation is just about the last thing you'd need. Chris Hansen had NBC's lawyers and police partnerships behind every single episode. JiDion has a camera crew in his own judgment, and he does seem to have good judgment now, but let's not forget this is a very recent development in his character. In June 2026, that judgment took him to a McDonald's parking lot in Michigan on a case that had nothing to do with predators at all, and the guy he was after wasn't the one who ended up being arrested. Everything in this chapter is drawn from police statements, court records, reporting from Fox 2 Detroit, the Detroit News, MLive, and the News Herald, because this is an open criminal case and I'd rather not get sued by anyone. JiDion's friend and fellow creator Skeeter says a relative he calls Uncle Joe had been squatting in Gene's grandmother's house in Woodhaven. Their solution, according to Gene, was to move JiDion into the house and pressure the relative into leaving.
Dispute begins around 10:49 a.m. on June 22, 2026, when a man named Joe contacts Woodhaven police officers from a local McDonald's in Michigan, claiming that his nephew and his friends are stalking him. His nephew is 30-year-old Kenneth Chambers, who runs the YouTube channel Skeeter Gene, which currently has around 2.5 million subscribers and is well known for doing sting operations. Joe tells the officers that Skeeter and his friends have been following him and filming him throughout the day. Over the past several months, Skeeter has amassed millions of views on his channel by posting videos about his uncle. But Skeeter and his friend and collaborator, 25-year-old JiDion Adams, a popular YouTuber best known for high-energy prank videos, social experiments, and comedic vlogs before transitioning into true crime content focused on exposing criminals through sting operations, have a reason for following Joe wherever he goes.
For the past decade or so, he's been financially exploiting and abusing my grandmother, who was also his mother. And before that, he was doing the same thing to his grandmother, which is my great-grandmother.
Skeeter explains that despite repeated warnings from the family, his Uncle Joe refused to leave his grandmother's house and had been squatting there for months. So, he decided,
I was gonna go over there and kick his ass myself. But then I thought, wait a minute, I have a YouTube channel and it's monetized, so I can just expose him on the internet and make some money off of him.
But according to Skeeter, when Joe still refused to vacate the home, he came up with a plan alongside JiDion to solve the problem once and for all. He moved JiDion into his grandmother's house, eventually forcing Joe to leave the property and end up at McDonald's. While Joe has stepped out to run an errand, the officer later learned from the restaurant manager that JiDion and his film crew had returned to the McDonald's multiple times looking for him. The manager told officers that despite being asked to leave and informed them that they could not record on McDonald's private property, they continued live streaming. The group is then seen returning to the police station once again, demanding to see Joe. Believing they may head back to the McDonald's in search of him, the officer returns to the restaurant to keep watch.
Alright, we're gonna go back and deal with them. Hopefully we can see what we can do about getting them out of there, but we'll see.
And soon, a large group arrives back at McDonald's, but this time, the officers are ready.
Do you want to waste your DA's time? I am a multi-millionaire. I promise you, I can take this as far as you want.
JiDion has said that he signed an agreement with the homeowner. All of that is according to them, and none of it has been released in court, but that's the setup that they described in the video. The alleged squatter left the house and went to McDonald's, which keep in mind was the entire goal in the first place. So the video really should have ended here. Instead, JiDion followed him mid-kick subathon with a crowd, and the group he brought reportedly included minors. Woodhaven police say McDonald's management called them at around 3:15 in the afternoon over the size of the crowd in and around the building. Officers told the group to leave the property or face trespassing charges. JiDion pushed back verbally. The group moved to the sidewalk, and then he made the decision that turned into his arrest. He handed his streaming camera to a random pedestrian so that the broadcast wouldn't stop, and police body cam footage later published by the channel Code Blue Cam shows the pedestrian getting arrested for breaching the peace. JiDion argued that he hadn't trespassed and the charges wouldn't stick. Then they arrested JiDion. On the way to the car, still live to thousands of people, he told the officer that he's a multi-millionaire and could take this as far as the officer wanted. He He told him that he'd end up in a deposition and under arrest himself, then instructed his group to go get him a lawyer while being loaded into the back seat, where he argued he was physically too big to fit. 4 people were arrested in total on suspicion of breach of peace and stalking, and all 4 spent the night in the Woodhaven Police Department. The internet did what the internet does. Within hours, Free JiDion was trending. A post on his community page called for a peaceful protest at the Woodhaven Community Center, asking for fans to wear white shirts, and a protest did happen outside the police station. The sentiment was split exactly how you'd expect. Supporters framed it as the system protecting a squatter over a property owner, and squatter laws are frankly ridiculous in my opinion, so JiDion's arrest only gave fuel to the fire. But critics pointed out that whatever you think of squatting laws, bringing a crowd that included minors to a live confrontation was a terrible call. And on that specific point, I will say, critics are kind of right. And quite honestly, EDP Watch exists because adults putting kids in dangerous situations is the thing that he despises and wants to bring down. But despite that, he still brought multiple kids into a potentially dangerous situation. June 23rd, all 4 were arraigned in the 33rd District Court in Woodhaven before Judge Michael McNally. And in the most JiDion move imaginable, he streamed portions of his own arraignment. He was charged with 2 misdemeanors, 1 count of breach of peace and 1 count of stalking. The 3 others, reportedly minors, were charged with breach of peace. His bond was set at $10,000 and he was released. When he brought up his contract with the homeowner, the judge told him flatly that civil property disputes were outside the scope of a bond hearing and warned him no contact with the individual involved and no returning to the property. After the hearing, JiDion announced on stream that he'd cover the legal fees for everyone arrested with him, which, credit where it's due, is him standing behind the people he brought into this. Around the same window, he publicly cut ties with fellow creator Alex Rosen over Rosen trying to pay $1 million bond for Chud the Builder, who quite honestly may be his own video in the future. Now for the actual court case. Breach of peace in Michigan carries up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. Misdemeanor stalking under Michigan's stalking statute carries up to a year in jail, a fine of up to $1,000 or both, with probation on top potentially. These are misdemeanors, and many first-time misdemeanor cases in the US end in fines, probation, or community-based penalties rather than the jail. Every charge in this video was an allegation, and JiDion denied wrongdoing throughout. The stalking charge is the interesting one to me legally, but stalking applies. He went after one guy unreasonably for a really long time. Going into July 13th, there was no public information about his plea or any motions that his attorney had filed. A pretrial isn't a trial. It's the hearing where prosecutors and the defense start sorting out a case, and it tends to end up in one of a few ways. The case gets adjourned and continued, a plea deal gets put on the table, or charges get reduced or dropped. Going in, any of those were on the table. And whatever was about to happen in that courtroom, his online track record sure as hell did not help him. High school suspended him, and he made it into content. Harris County issued a warrant and he trolled the cops. Twitch banned him for 2 years and he came back bigger on a different platform mid-subathon. Every institution that has ever tried to punish JiDion ended up making him a lot of money, and somehow he always avoids real punishment. So what happened on July 13th? According to JiDion's own statement on social media, all of the charges were dismissed with prejudice, and everyone arrested with him got their records expunged. Dismissed with prejudice means that the charges can't be refiled. Once again, that account comes from him, not yet from the court records or the Detroit outlets that covered the arrest, so treat it as his version until the court confirms it. He claims that he's done with live stream pranks, and despite being the most banned guy on the internet, he came back in an insane way. There's really no question that he'll for sure be back, and just like he always does, he'll manage to slip out of any real repercussions. Honestly, no one has any idea what's coming next, but historically, that has been his most valuable asset.